Oh look, it's an electric car. It's going to be quiet, it's going to be efficient, probably saying it's going to be boring. But we're here at Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit and this is the Audi RS E-Tron. And I don't think it's going to be any of those things. It's going to be fast, it's going to be fun, and with a low centre of gravity, I reckon it's going to be pretty impressive out there on the circuit. Let's find out. Audi's RS E-Tron GT is the brand's high-power, high-voltage, fully electric, range-topping sports sedan. The 93 kilowatt-hour battery offers up to a 532 kilometre range, while the 400 kilowatt, 830 newton-metre output will do its best to see you reduce that with a smile on your face. The RS E-Tron GT shares much of its underpinnings with the Porsche Taycan, so it has been developed with performance at front of mind. 0 to 100 kilometres an hour is achieved in just 3.3 seconds, and it tops out at 250 kilometres an hour, which is conveniently the same as the price. A 2024 Audi RS E-Tron GT can be yours from just $248,200 before options and on-road costs. But while all these numbers make for an exciting sounding capability, what does it mean when you're actually in a performance environment? Will a fast electric car still feel exciting without the noise and more mechanical and linear progression of a petrol one? I'm at Australia's fastest motor racing circuit to find out. Now, before we hit the track, I just want to show you what it's like in a performance EV at a racetrack. Turn it on, and yep, that's all you get. So no surprises, and obviously it is a little bit disconcerting to turn on the car and basically say, oh, okay, well, are we on? Are we racing? What are we doing? And it is a bit different to that whole side of things. Now you can see I'm setting up the car, ready to go. I'm going to hit the circuit, but this is the first time I've ever taken an electric car at real pace. And the interest to me was not so much how fast they are, because we do know that certainly in a straight line, an EV can really pick up some serious speed seriously quickly. But in terms of being able to do it in a performance environment like a racetrack where you need to not only accelerate but handle and brake and feel like you've got a car that's responding to your inputs everywhere rather than just good in one direction. And I think that's what the RS E-Tron has really shown me today. And I got to say, it's been kind of enlightening, not so much surprising, because again, Audi and Porsche and the other brands that are looking at performance edge EVs, they're not doing it lightly. They're not trying to fake this. But what you've got in this car is something that allows you to experience all the thrills and speeds, and in many ways more of the thrills and speeds than you can out of a conventional petrol performance car, but with a few added bonuses. So the RS E-Tron has a 93 kilowatt hour battery. What I found earlier at pace, following the other cars, really trying to put a performance edge on what we were doing, the car was averaging over 80 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which means in a performance environment, we get a 100 kilometer range from the battery in doing that. Now, that's not great. It's certainly not what you expect on the road, but in a performance environment, I gotta say, that's actually better than I thought. And if you've ever done any performance driving days with a petrol car, your economy just goes through the roof, right? Like, you are absolutely chewing petrol in your regular car. You'll find you'll go through a couple of tanks a day. So the idea that an electric car will be obviously less efficient at extreme pace, well, you know, it checks out, but it was quite interesting to see that that's where it was. Now, the other thing that was interesting, we were following at many times a RS Q8 SUV, so a twin-turbo V8, very powerful, very fast Audi SUV with a professional driver on board, and this thing was able to eat it everywhere. You could catch it in the corners, you could catch it on the straights, you could catch it coming out of a tight complex. You could basically be all over the back of what is conventionally an incredibly fast car. And so with that, the E-Tron in a performance and a track environment, it is tremendously capable. Now let's remember, this has an active all-wheel drive system. It has active four-wheel steering. You've got really wide tyres on this. You've got incredible aerodynamics. I think it has a drag coefficient of like 0.24 or something like that. This is a very, very slippery vehicle, and in order to basically manage these speeds and manage this capability so quickly and so effortlessly, you've got a very, very low center of gravity in this car. And you find that even at speeds on the front straight, now we were getting up to sort of, 220, 230 on the front straight, you come onto the brakes and tip it in, it washes off speed, it turns in almost more accurately than we found in the RS6, and certainly more accurately than the RS Q8 did through these corner complexes. And it makes you feel tremendously bold, and you feel that the grip is there, the performance is there, but the handling is there too. And if anything, the electric platform makes an awful lot of sense for a real performance car. Now, you might ask about the noise, because let's face it, when you're in a twin turbo V8, it sounds glorious. When you're in this, we can't hear anything. But I gotta tell you, when you got a helmet on, you can't hear anything anyway. The idea that you're losing out and you're somehow getting out of an electric car on a racetrack going, well, that was dull and kind of vanilla in what it was doing, and I feel like I wasn't there. It's absolutely not the case. You are on, you are dialed, and in fact, you are, in a way, concentrating and pushing just that little bit more, because the car is asking just that little bit more of you. You can brake later and harder. You can power out earlier and faster. You can hold far higher speeds than you really think you can. So your level of concentration goes up, your level of focus goes up, and your level of caring about what noise this thing makes goes out the window. So are we ready for an electric sports series? Well, you know what? There is already Formula E, and as a spectator, it's boring. But for electric performance cars like the E-Tron on a track, doing this, I'm having a blast here. Like, it really is fun. It's a fast car, and it gives that accessibility and that confidence that it is quite hard to get from other vehicles. Now, granted, this is a very expensive Audi. This is not your starter race car, but perhaps as we move through many facets of the electric revolution that we're looking at the moment, that we will start to get to that point, and we'll have cheaper, lighter, more accessible electric vehicles that will be able to give you those real visceral thrills that you get from pretty much any car on a circuit, especially like this one at Phillip Island. Tell you what, it's going to be exciting. So, what did we learn? Well, I'll tell you what, efficiency went out the window. This thing certainly hasn't got a lot of time for its battery out there on the track, but what it gave us was a very, very high intensity of a lot of fun. It's tremendously fast, it's tremendously grippy. The low center of gravity helps it hook up and power out of the corners in a far more impressive manner than even the petrol cars we found today. And it begs the question, are we now ready for a raft of performance electric vehicles that you can take to the track and leave with a massive smile on your face? Let us know in the comments below what you think. And if you like this clip, hit like, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. For anything more you want to find out on the RS E-Tron or any of the Audi range, head on over to Drive.com.au.